If you were a kid in the 90s, there is one place that everybody wanted to go. That's right, the most magical place on earth. I'm talking about Disney World. Guys, the commercials will always get you hyped. You see Mickey and Minnie, Goofy, Donald just all doing their thing. You're like, I gotta get there. Space Mountain, I mean, come on. Who doesn't want that? Well, since my dad was not a kid in the 90s, he said we ain't going. I mean, he didn't see himself paying that money, over $150 per person, just to ride one ride that's gonna take 4 hours to get to. He wasn't playing it. He wasn't having it. So, as a kid, I didn't get the chance to go to Disney World. Now, let's not get it twisted. I had a wonderful childhood. I got just about everything I wanted. I just wasn't gonna get that. Not from him. So fast forward, I get married, sitting on the couch at my mother-in-law's house, watching TV, and I hear my mother-in-law say, "Hey, have you ever been to Disney World?" Now guys, I promise you, it probably wasn't me talking at this time. It was that little kid that didn't get to go. And I'm sounding like a 3-year-old. No, haven't been. I want to go though. I really like it. I think I like it. I want to go. Can we please go? My mother-in-law's laughing. It's like, yeah, I think this summer we gonna go to Disney World. I'm like, bet. In my mind, I'm already packed. I'm already ready to go. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, is it summertime yet? It's close. About to go to Disney World. All right. So after I calm all the way down, my mother-in-law says, all right, cool. I'm gonna make plans for us to go to Disney World. We're gonna get an Airbnb. It's gonna be fun. Now, I took her word for it, and at the end, it was fun, but there's some middle in there, and we're gonna talk about the middle. About a day before we leave, I find out that my mother-in-law is about to rent a van, and I'm like, what we need to rent a van for? It's only 4 of us. And then she's like, oh, well, I decided to invite your brother-in-law and his family. I'm like, all right, cool, bet, all right. You trying to convince yourself everything's gonna be all right, but everything ain't about to be all right. After we all pile into the van, we realize there is some people missing on this trip. And we start to blow their phone up. And then finally they answer and be like, hey, we on the way. It's gonna be about 20 minutes, promise. So about 40 minutes later, they pull up, we hop in, we take off to Orlando, Florida. Now, this is Orlando, Florida in the summertime. The sun does not care. It's gonna be where it's gonna be. So yes, it was hot. We get down to Orlando that night and it's already smoking hot. And I was like, okay, if nobody says anything about the heat, we gonna be all right. Then somebody says, man, it's kind of hot tonight. I was like, uh-oh, we ain't gonna make it. The next day we wake up, everybody wakes up early, we get some breakfast in, and we head to the park. It's about 12 o'clock noon. The sun is already shedded its tears, and it is raining down on us. Yes, sun rays, not rain, but sun rays. It is hotter than a mother, you know. We get our tickets, we head into the park. Now we got little kids with us. Not all of them are tall yet. Not all of them hit that growth spurt. So we're looking at rides that they can ride and rides that we can ride, and we are striking out. The kids are complaining that they hot. Some of the adults are complaining that they hot now. I'm just looking like, I just want to ride the rides. The little kid in me is like, leave them. Just run away. You be all right. Just go. But, I stayed with the pack. I stayed with the family. We find one ride. We ride it. After we get off the ride, this couple gave us a bunch of fast pass and said, hey, we're about to leave, so you guys can enjoy these fast passes. We're going to go ahead and head out the park. Me and my wife look at each other and like, that's a good idea to go ahead and head out the park and get something to eat. Because guys, if y'all don't know about amusement park food, it is overpriced and undersized. Like, you gonna get a hot dog for about $10, and then if you add a drink on there, you might as well get a small loan. So we leave, right? But before we leave, my brother-in-law says, hey, I think I'm gonna stay here with the kids so we can just kind of really just soak up this whole adventure. I was like, all right, but we coming back later tonight. Yeah, that's cool. So we go home, we get something to eat, we all take naps. We wake up and it's time to go back to the park, right? So the sun done went down, it's nighttime, Disney World's lit up, and we are in Magic Kingdom. Before we hit Magic Kingdom, we call our brother-in-law and say, hey, we on our way back. They're like, all right, cool. Phone's about to die, so all right, we'll just meet y'all in the front of the park. We get to the front of the park, everybody arms folded, lips poked out, and about 10 shades darker. And I hear, I'm mad. Now, let me tell you guys something about energy. Energy is never lost, it's just transferred to the next thing, right? So that goes with negative energy as well, positive energy too. So when I heard I'm mad, I started putting blockers up. I was like, I'm at Disney World, I don't want to hear it. She starts to explain herself on why she's mad. And I'm looking at everybody who came back to the park in a trance. Like I said, that energy, it just transfers. I grabbed my wife and I said, excuse me, y'all, I'm about to go ride Space Mountain. And we start walking away. And I look back behind me, everybody else that came back is right behind us. And they said, man, we got hypnotized with that. I said, yeah, I seen y'all get hypnotized. That's why I went ahead and broke that trance. So we ride Magic Mountain, right? Best ride ever. I loved every minute of it until the end. Now this is the end. My brother-in-law is waiting at the exit and he's talking 1,000 miles per hour. And I'm looking at him like, I don't know the words that are coming out your mouth. And then finally I hear, I lost my wife and the kids and I can't find her. I was like, oh, that's what you talking about. Okay, cool. So the little kid inside me says, that's not your problem. Go ride something else. But the adult in me said, I'll help you find her. And that's what we did, right? We started looking high and low. We're walking around the castle. We're walking around the little lake. We're walking everywhere. Then finally somebody said, hey, what about if we go to guest services? We go to guest services, tell them our issue. They're like, hey, does anybody have a picture of her? Because if you have a picture of her, that will help. So somebody shows a picture and they do their thing. Satellites are linking up out of space. Messages are coming from aliens. And then next thing you know, we hear, hey, I think we found her. Security goes, finds her, bring her to guest services. And have y'all ever found somebody that didn't want to be found? That's what this situation was right here. She wasn't lost. She knew where she was. She was just sick of being there. So they get into a small argument. I'm looking at this argument and I'm like, this is crazy, because I could have been on a whole bunch of rides because we were looking for somebody that didn't want to be found. So now I'm mad, but I ain't gonna let it show. I'm just gonna cool out. Hopefully, this settles, but it's pretty much time to go now. So we're walking back to the van and they start holding hands. And I'm looking like, I know they ain't holding hands because they're mad at each other, right? And then they get a little closer and kind of start holding each other as they walk. I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm sitting in the front seat of the van, 38 hot. My wife looking at me trying to talk to me. I ain't trying to talk. We make it back to the Airbnb. So we were sharing rooms, my brother-in-law, his wife, me and my wife. Not that night. Guys, I decided to go out to the patio and I slept on the patio. Yes, I didn't care. It was screened in. The only thing that could happen was me fall in the pool and drown. At that point, that was okay. I'm getting text messages from my wife, phone calls from my wife. Hey, where you at? Are you okay? And the only thing I said was, yep. The next day I wake up, I walk inside, breakfast is starting to be cooked, and somebody looks at me and is like, hey, did you just come from outside? And I said, yep. And they said, were you out there the entire night? And I said, yep. So I realized at that point, the next time I decide to do a family vacation, I'm bringing my own car. Because if I had my own car, it wouldn't have mattered if she was lost or not. She could have just stayed lost. But because they had to ride back with us, it was important that we found her. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have found her. I'm just saying, if I could have hit Magic Mountain one more time, I wouldn't have been mad.